Good morning, AEGEAN 600 race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis with Seahorse Magazine, giving you the 11 July morning report on what's happening out on the racecourse now using the YB tracking system. I have the weather turned on here using this tool over here. This is the windy weather model with its clever graphics that show the wind vectors, and then through colorization gives you an idea of wind speed. Now, yesterday we saw much deeper oranges and browns down here in this part of the racecourse, indicating breeze at 20 to 30 knots. That's really not the case now, what's going on in the racecourse at 8 o'clock in the morning local time. That breeze has dissipated some, and you can see more greens and blues. And blues are 5 to 10 knots. Greens are 10 to 15 knots, or 10 to 20 knots. And over in this part of the race course, we've got the bulk of the fleet has now made it around Kassos, Karpathos, and are headed for Rhodos. And you can see if we zoom in, maybe we get a sense of what's going on here, and if the lee is pronounced. We can tell that a little bit by data like this. So Aeolia is a J11S, and its speed is 2.3 knots. That certainly indicates a lack of wind. These guys are going 5. These guys are going 4. I thought I saw a 1 in here somewhere, but it's not the there's a 0.8 in that Archambault 40. So yeah, get too close to the island, you get in danger of getting in the lee. Some have elected to swing wide. So Foxy Lady, for example, Moto Dynamics, they're going 4.7. So maybe they knew about this from previous years, or just use their horse sense about staying away from an island when the breeze is offshore. The Daler 30 Aether is also, looks like they're making a turn out to be wide. Leading this pack, XP44 Selma Racing. They at 3.4 knots are not going anywhere near the potential of a boat that size. Further up the track, at 6.2 knots, this Beneteau Oceanus 46 is rolling along okay. JPK 39, Phileas Fogg 7.6. So this group is back in the pressure. 5.2, 7.7 knots. Although that's a big boat, CNB 66. But notice what's happening, of course. The wind does rotate around a little bit here. So this is turning into a beat in this part of the course in the lee of Rhodos. I think certainly last night when we looked at this, those faster boats that went through here had the breeze around further to the northwest, and I think they were fetching and not having to beat up this leg. And coming around the corner, this Swan 65 Cloudy 7 is 9.6 knots, so they got plenty of breeze up there. And then over here on the reaching leg, this is a catamaran. This is a lead catamaran, actually. 12 and a half knots is not bad. It's not a full racing cat. It's more of a cruising cat. This is a race boat here. It's a Carbon Neo 430. They're going plenty fast at 12 and a half. So the boats that get back out here to the west get in the pressure. They've got to navigate through all these islands and get around the points. But there's Optimum S. They were actually, they are in the lead, I think, in ORC scoring. At 9.8 knots, they're going just fine. Another interesting group here is remain pretty tight. Carbonita and AEGEAN is a Martin 72. Chipalipa, 60 feet, Cannon Keel. These are Maxis, or in the Maxi class. And this one leaps and bounds as well, 62-foot boat. So these guys looks like they're having a hell of a race. pushing each other around the course. And then we'll scroll over here to look at where the race leaders are. Now, that's an interesting little wobble here in their track. I don't know if that's real or perhaps some digital artifact of the way their tracker was working, but that's I Love Poland. They are leading in the Maxi class in IRC scoring, and they're going plenty fast, 14.6 knots. They still got to get through the gate here at Mykonos. Meanwhile, our largest boat on the largest monohull on the race course is that true? No, there's a big Swan that's a little bit longer, but certainly this boat is the fastest. That's Leopard 100. Their boat speed looks good, 11.9 knots. Now, if we believe the weather and the way it's depicted here, they're going to find themselves going into less and less pressure this morning as they try to get around these last couple of islands. The finish line over here is where the start line was. So off of Cape Suunyo, right underneath the ancient temple of Poseidon is where Leopard will be headed to. Of course, everybody's thinking about course record, and that's certainly achievable. They've got a little less than 36 miles, and at 12 knots, if you do the math, that's 3 hours. My guess is it'll be longer than that because the wind's going to start getting light as they get over here. But at these reaching angles, this boat is still plenty fast. Anyway, so that's our story for the 11th of July. This is the day that I think we'll see our first finishers, and the rest of the fleet will be making themselves well into the second half of the course. We'll see if Leopard is able to get here within course record time. My prediction is yes, unless something happens. And so stay tuned, folks. But thanks for tuning in, for your interest in the AEGEAN 600 this year. And for Seahorse Magazine, I'm Dobbs Davis.